social capital here is huge. Spend it wisely. I don't know you yet. I'm not going to spend my social capital on someone I don't know. Prove yourself to me. Be a likable person, be a coachable person, and then absolutely happy to open up my contact book. But I'm not going to do it on the first day we meet.
This is the Startup Junkies Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Startup Junkies Podcast. Thanks for tuning in wherever and however you're tuning in with us. My name is Caleb Talley. I'm a member of the Startup Junkie team, and I am hosting solo today, but I'm joined by our old friend, Permjot Valia. How's it going, Permjot?
Good afternoon. Great to see you again, Caleb, in beautiful Arkansas.
Glad to have you here. And our new friend, Ross Webb. How's it going, Ross?
Doing great. Also really great to be back in Arkansas.
Awesome. Well, as our founder and patriarch Jeff Amrine would say, we'll start with kind of your Marvel origin story. Permjot, you've been on the Startup Junkies podcast before, but for our listeners and viewers who have forgotten you, which is hard to do, I'm sure. Tell us a little bit about your background. What is the Permjot origin story?
That's a really interesting question, and I really don't like talking about myself. But basically, I'm a salesperson.
You have a mic in front of you. You have to.
Yeah, I absolutely have a microphone. Will speak. I've never met a microphone I didn't fall in love with. A salesman, born and bred, and then got into startup activity, and have been visiting Arkansas since 2010. And it's been a joy ever since, and it's great to be back this time with Mentor Camp. And I think this is the third time we are doing a Mentor Camp in Arkansas, which is fantastic.
I'm excited because it's the first time I will have the opportunity to participate in a mentor camp. COVID ruined the last one we tried to do.
It did. And this is why it's so exciting to have our third guest, Ross Webb, who is a returnee to Mentor Camp.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Thanks. It's really good to be an alumni of Mentor Camp.
Yeah. And a returnee to Northwest Arkansas.
Hell yeah.
So Ross, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you back, besides Permjot, what brought you back to Northwest Arkansas?
Besides Permjot, it was Jeff, I guess, as well. You mentioned Jeff, so we'll give him some credit there. But I'd done a couple of mentor camps with Permjot. Really loved them. Really loved the people we were working with, the stuff we were doing. I thought that was great. I'm from a little bit further afield. I'm from the bottom of Africa in Cape Town. I live in London most of the time. But for the last, since 2017, I've really been focused as a product manager, an AI product manager and developer, places like Amazon, Just Eat, Takeaway.com, and a whole bunch of startups outside of Cambridge in the UK, and a load of other places, yeah.
And speak to a little bit about some of that work, and understand you've been in that field for kind of longer than what others would assume to be this time frame of the AI boom, it would be. Speak a little bit about what you've seen in that space and why it's the work you've been doing there.
Yeah, so I guess we were creating our first AI kind of little apps using natural language processing in 2017. And I saw at that company that I was head of product at, we were getting like 3,000% return on ad spend for the things that we were doing. And we created a product, and it went from 0 to 50 million in revenue within 9 months of launching it. And it wasn't all to do with the AI, the chatbots and stuff that we were doing at the time. It's a small percentage of it, but it just like opened up my mind to what could be done. I'm really lucky to have an uncle who's like 90 in Montreal, and he's done like 2 PhDs in AI going back like, 20, 30 years and things. But I've always been interested in that. And then seeing how that's been applied at public organizations where I was, at the time, even before AI, it was, I was director of product for machine learning. And really what I was doing is just creating algorithms. And that sounds really fancy, but really what it meant is no one had a clue what I was talking about. Now I can actually talk to people about the stuff we were doing. They go, oh, it's like that AI stuff. I get what it is, yeah.
And so, Permjot, what about Mentor Camp? Or I guess let's go back to when Mentor Camp really when was the first Mentor Camp? And elaborate a little bit about what that even is. We talk about it being the second one.
Sure. And I know a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs or people with entrepreneurial leanings. I'll just, if I may, if you'll indulge me, let me tell you the origin story of Mentor Camp.
Absolutely.
So I took part in a mentoring event in London, and it was awful. It was really, really terrible. And at the time, Heineken, the alcohol company, they were doing these adverts in the UK that all said, we don't do banks, but if we did, and they showed beautiful banking where you just walk in and you say to the bank manager, Hey, I'd like to borrow 100,000. Oh, that won't do. Have 500,000. Oh, don't worry about the paperwork. And they said, we don't do banking, but if we did, this is what it looked like. And they kept doing these adverts about we don't do football, but if we did, this is what it looked like. And I just asked myself, what if I took that mentoring event and did a Heineken to it?
Mm-hmm.
I really asked myself, how would Heineken do a mentoring event? And that was what MentorCamp became, where my big disagreement, and a really good way to think about strategy for startups is, what is your disagreement with the rest of the market? Whereas most of the market do mentoring events, where the startup is the client, my disagreement was that my client is the mentor. Because I fundamentally believe there are very few great mentors of the caliber of Ross. We've just heard a little glimpse of why he is such a brilliant mentor to bring to Northwest Arkansas. So my ethos is people like Ross are rare. Startups that need Ross's help are not rare. So to me, the client is the mentor and the mentor experience, not the startup. The startups get more out of it because of that disagreement. Mm-hmm. So that's the origin story. The first mentor camp was held in Nova Scotia, Halifax, where I now live. We've now done mentor camps in actually Cape Town. We've done Istanbul. We've done a few in Canada. And this is the third we're doing in Northwest Arkansas.
So tell me a little bit about how Mentor Camp turns that on its head in terms of, in service to the client being the mentor. What does that look like in implementation?
It means that you really take care of a client. You make sure they have a great experience. Little things like, the attention to detail you and the Startup Junkie team like Grace, Danny, and you have put into this, where hotels are booked, flight, someone is picking them up from the airport, where everything is taken care of, where we don't want them just mentor startups. We want them to fall in love with Northwest Arkansas. It's interesting that Ross has come back, and last time he was here, he met Brian Finton, who actually runs this studio, and Brian came and said hello to him, and it was really great to see these friends who haven't seen each other for 15 years connect like that. That's the magic, and you do that when you can help people fall in love with a place. And we've got tours of Crystal Bridges. We're going to go to Wrights for food. We're going to have some great local cuisine. We're going to see the Walmart Innovation Lab. Things that money can't buy. And I want the mentors to come see the beauty that is Northwest Arkansas and go away thinking, when's the next mentor camp? How do we give mentors great experiences? And then they are willing to not only give advice to the startups here, but they're willing to build relationships with people and startups from this region.
To focus on the full-scale end-to-end experience of the mentor camp for the mentors. And I imagine that also means you get to recruit and continue to re-engage some very high-quality mentors throughout the process.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we've never had is we've never struggled with finding mentors. It's always been great that people of Ross's caliber say, oh, yes, please, when's the next one? Which is just, you're hitting it right.
Yeah.
When someone like Ross, with all the pressures on his time, says, yeah, I want to come to mentor camp.
It's a pretty good introduction.
Yeah, listen, I mean, but Permjot's totally right. Like with the various things I do, I get people reaching out to me like every week. Some weeks I get like 2 people reaching out twice. Hey, can we do this? Can we do that? Whether it's mentoring, being on the channel, whatever it is that they want. And I've got some like gates that I have there to be able to be able to deal with all that stuff. But with Permjot, it's like, yeah, sign me up. Like, let's do the next one. And it is like that. Like, he's 100% right. Like, I've got such great memories of the last one here. And they're not all about me mentoring the people in there. A lot of them is, like connecting with Brian, Perm, Jeff, like just so many great people. And so if Permjot is, hey, what about this? I'm there because I had that experience. And my experience is so overwhelmingly positive. Like, I got picked up by Danny at the airport, like Perm said, and brought there and treated great. And I've no shortage of things on my time. As soon as I finish this, I'll be back in the office responding to all the other things and getting that done. But I'll make time for this, right? And a lot of people also, I'll add this, like a lot of people who, time is very valuable, right? And a lot of people will ask me, oh, you're doing this, like, and it's always, how much are you getting paid? Like, I just want to and it's like, I'm not getting paid. And they're like, well, why are you doing it? Your time is valuable. You get paid this for that and all these things. And it's like, it's not about that. And like that's one of the questions I get told often is, how much are you getting paid? And and as Permjot said, like, you couldn't pay me to do that. Like, for me to take it like a week out of my diary, come to Bentonville, it's not that affordable if you just put like a dollar price on it, right? And I'm not saying my time's more valuable than anybody else's, but it's also not cheap either. But it's not about that. I mean, Permjot and I have never had a conversation about money. It's never about that. It's like, what are we doing? And the other thing I've always felt is a lot of people that reach out for mentoring, where I'm based in London, but it's been around the world. People reach out. I've always felt like that energy is always one way. It's like as the mentor. Like, I want them to go away and implement my thoughts and, hey, I think I'm experienced and all these whys and all these things. I may be, I may not be. And you kind of want to do that. And a lot of them, there's just like there's no follow-up. There's no feedback. And whereas here, I'm less worried about whether they follow up, whether they execute it. I'm really interested to meet all the other mentors. Like some of the other mentors, just like, Brian, who owns a studio, we've stayed in touch, but other mentors we've stayed in touch. And while I can't, and I wouldn't put a financial number on it, but it's enriched me. It's really enriched that. Like, I can't wait for my wife, my family to come to Arkansas. When you talk to people, I don't know, New York or Boston, they're, Arkansas, what are we? I'm like,
where?
You've no idea. It's awesome. Yeah. And this is some dude from the bottom of Africa talking, right? So.
Well, it's incredible because it's not, to summarize, I mean, it's not a transaction, it's an experience and it's a relationship that you're developing and building upon, not just with the mentees, but also the fellow mentors, and also a relationship you're developing with a region and a place as well. And that's something that started, I guess, 2015 was your first time to?
Yeah, roughly.
2015 was my second mentor camp. The first one was in Halifax.
Okay.
I think that was a year before. I could be wrong by a year or so. But it was my first time in Bentonville. But even that time, it was in Halifax.
Yeah.
And I remember I was saying this to Pim the other day, like, I walked in this little coffee shop and I'm from Cape Town in Africa and it's got the Cape Town fog from Africa. I was like, what are the chances of some dude from Cape Town walking into this place in Halifax? But outside of that, I've probably never been to Halifax and it's such a great place.
Would you have been to Northwest Arkansas had you not been?
No, why would I? Like,
right.
Unless there's, like, if I think about people in my circle and friends, people, colleagues and stuff, like, outside of Walmart, that people, because the one thing I've always heard, like in taking Ubers, are you here for Walmart? And I'm like, I'm so proud to say, no, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually here, I'm here for mental camp.
Yeah.
It's so great. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Walmart. I love what they're doing and how they've helped the ecosystem and infrastructure here. It's great. But it's nice that there's a lot of things here.
That's awesome. And so going back to the question I had in my head, I'm not a professional. I'm just kind of going with the flow here.
We would never, you know what?
You never
had you not said,
for a professional,
had you not told us you weren't a professional, we would have left.
I've never had singing training either.
I was just enjoying the conversation.
Well, I had a question that just bounced out of my head. So, no, I know what I was going to say. So we actually had a conversation this last Fuel Accelerator program cohort prior to the last accelerator cohort about the mentor experience in terms of fuel specifically, and had gotten feedback from a previous mentor who kind of had drifted aside and wasn't really as engaged as a mentor in the program anymore about the mentor experience, like I said, specific to fuel, in that it being one-way, one-sided, transactional, and almost felt like there were times when they would come into a room and sit down with a cohort member and they would have a specific question, can you introduce me to so-and-so? Or can you do this for me? Or can you do that for me? And if they couldn't, that conversation was just ended right there. So how does Mentor Camp, in terms of how it engages the mentees, how does that kind of navigate what is potentially inherent in some of that too?
So one of the things I would actually advise mentors to not do is I would advise them not to open up their contact book. I would actually say that people who ask mentors, can you introduce me? No, I can't. And that is because, and people from Arkansas know this, you have this tremendous asset, more so in other places that I've visited around the world, including North America. Social capital here is huge. Spend it wisely. I don't know you yet. I'm not going to spend my social capital on someone I don't know. Prove yourself to me. Be a likable person, be a coachable person, and then absolutely happy to open up my contact book. But I'm not going to do it on the first day we meet. Come on, let's be real here. It's an unrealistic
Take
task.
me to dinner first, right?
Totally, whatever you want to use, whatever story you want to use. But you gotta get to know people.
Yeah,
you gotta get to know, build trust. I need to know that you won't let me down.
Yeah.
In front of my network.
The Startup Junkies Podcast is brought to you in part by Arise. Arise helps Arkansas tech and tech-enabled startups grow with no-cost coaching, capital navigation, and expert connections so founders can scale faster. Learn more at arisearkansas.org.
And Ross, going in and mentoring and participating in places outside of your norm, how has that experience been like with those mentees, those founders in these new locations in Bentonville, circa 2015 or Halifax or wherever? How was that engagement with these, strangers essentially?
Really, really good. But I think as Permjot was alluding to, I think you can learn really quickly when it's going to be transactional. When someone's coming to you and going, I'll do this and you'll do that. Just to step out of that. Like I mentioned earlier, I've got this gating system where people will reach out to me like every week. And, I had cancer and there's a cancer charity that really helped me out. And my little gating system is, hey, donate some money to that charity. Here's a link. I don't care how much it is. It could be 10p, £1, 50 cents. It could be £100. I don't care about the amount. I really couldn't care less. But if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to, then there's more of an energy exchange. Because a lot of people kind of reach out and go, and I'm just trying to give you like a transactional example now. And this has got nothing to do with the mental camp, by the way. This is just how I look at that energy exchange, right? And a lot of people kind of like, hey, can I buy you a coffee? Can I pick your brains? And I'm like, look, if something's going to take me away from time, say with my daughter or something, and I'll say, hey, this is basically like unpaid consulting, right? And they're like, oh, no, I just want to get your opinion. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine, no worries. Happy to give you my view, whatever. Happy to do whatever I can. I need to know that I can trust you. So, hey, just this is something that really helped me out with my cancer. Donate $1, donate. And some people get really upset with that. And they get really, I didn't want to blow. And it's like, that's cool, man. Like, we're all good. Yeah. Like, you've got your thing, I got my thing. And other people are like, that's amazing. I donated the $1 and like, they'll go, do you want me to send you like a proof of payment? I'm like, I trust you. You said you did it. Like, and if you're going to lie, well, that's on you, you know? And then those engagements or those mentoring conversations I've found become incredibly more valuable to them and to me. And I come fully engaged. But going to what Permjot's saying, but it's even then, it's not opening up the contact list like on a first date and going, oh, you need this person, that person, that person. It's like, let's get to know each other, right? It's like, I feel like Permjot's never asked me for anything. I've never asked him for anything. It's just these amazing experiences. And then walking away from that, I've just got these great experiences. And hey, if I can help you, I absolutely will do that. So what I'm really trying to say is from a mentoring perspective, there have been people that I've, and I never like engage them saying, hey, reach out to me or whatever. And so some people you like and some people don't. And I have had some of the mentees like reach out to me afterwards and stay in touch and go, hey, I'm starting this. Can I pick your brain again? But my gating system never comes up at that point. It's like, we know each other. Like we've trusted each other. We spend a bit of time. That's cool. And yeah, I want... every mentor I'd argue has got some kind of ego, and they go, yeah, I want to feel like that actually. But really, all I want to do and all I want to know is, were you able to take that advice, and was it able to help you? And if it was, I would love that feedback. And a lot of mentees that I've worked with, they'll take that advice, implement it, and I think they sometimes, and I've asked them, and I'll go like, did it work? And they, oh yeah, it worked. It was great. I should have told you. And I'm like, well, why didn't you? And they're like, I just thought you were really busy. I'm like, I am really busy. But
it's like you've put that out into the universe. You want to know that it
sure. And that's one thing where quite a few mentees that I've worked with, they don't have that follow up. That they don't go, actually, that worked. Or, hey, Perm, that idea was fantastic, dude. Like, let's do this. And it's like,
I think similarly, we see so many people come through the door at Startup Junkie just from the core level in terms of our one-on-one consulting that we do at the ecosystem. There will be conversations. I have a million conversations. I don't know that necessarily I have anything I say has had any sort of impact or they've taken that advice or, sometimes I come away from a consulting meeting and think to myself, well, that was a dud. I didn't provide any insight. And then I'll get that feedback that you mentioned where I said, the thing you said or this thing that you said or whatever it is really had an impact and I really appreciate it. It just, inflates me and kind of relights that fire almost a little bit too.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of energy, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. And I think your vetting system, I think probably also filters out folks that might not be as coachable. We see those people quite a bit too.
Sure, we do.
Yeah. Sure. So how do you navigate someone besides just telling them to hit the bricks? Someone that is a little less coachable.
You try to find out why they're not coachable. and it reveals itself very quickly. And if it's because they already know everything, great. Don't argue with them.
Yeah.
Just move on.
And congratulations, you know everything.
Time is the only thing money can buy you is time. Time is your most precious resource. The difference between rich people and poor people is rich people have more time. And why would you want to spend your time being coached by someone that you don't want to listen to them, they don't want to listen to you? So just move on.
Yeah.
It's clearly this relationship isn't going to work. Good luck.
What would you say is probably a piece of advice for a mentee that is probably applicable to every entrepreneur that you've engaged with? Is there a nugget of knowledge that is broadly applicable?
I would say that when you come to a mentoring session, be very clear as a mentee what you want to get out of the meeting. And this is a life lesson. This is about mentoring. If you're going to have a meeting with someone, any meeting, have a sense. And you learn this in sales, don't you? I'm a salesman. You learn this in sales, that what is your objective? What does success look like? Whereas if you go to a mentoring session with, hey, Ross, I've got this business idea. I want to sell computers on the internet, but you don't need internet access to be able to access the computers, whatever. What do you think of the idea? Now, that is going to be a terrible mentoring session. And yet some people approach mentoring like, I've got this idea. I want to sell running shoes for people who don't want to run. What do you think of the idea? It's like Nike have already cornered that. But you kind of say, well, how can I help with that? Because what you're inviting me to do then is give opinions. What you really want to do is have insights. Now, what you should be doing, and I was working with some students this morning, you should go into a mentoring session with, what are all the assumptions I am making about my business? How do I ask the mentors to disprove or support my assumptions? What do I have to do to gain further confidence in the assumptions that I'm making? That makes for a great mentoring conversation. Or you can just waste Ross's time by saying, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think?
Should I make running shoes?
Yeah, should I make running shoes? I don't know.
If I can add something to, if I think about the mentor camps, like there'll be a few mentors to be able to talk to. And I think a mentee, like for example, I have a lot of specific expertise, right, in specific niches or niches, as you'd say here, like whether it's product management, AI, machine learning, whatever. So if you're coming to me and asking me whether the cover of your, let's pretend people still had DVDs. If you came to me and asked me, is this a great cover for a DVD? I'm like, maybe, maybe, I don't know.
Sure.
But the other, like what you learn in product management is also, the 5 whys. Why is a good way? And keep asking, and also getting that real initial feedback as quickly as you can. But again, it's, and I might be a mentee, mentor in the product management space if you're looking for those product managing things. But if you're asking me like, hey, you're opening a restaurant and what do you think of this meal? So not your guy. Happy to give you opinion, give you my opinion on what the meal tastes like, but it's not worth anything. I would argue.
Bring out all the samples.
Right.
Let's see what. Yeah.
So it's like, if you've got a specific expertise, Permjot's got specific expertise as well that he's built up over the years. And I think all the other mentors have that are here. And I think if you can kind of find out what their lane is, and if that lane can have a lot of impact on you, focus in that.
There's a great deal of responsibility that the mentee themselves need to take advantage of.
Yes.
And go into knowing and understanding and know who they're talking to. I mean, that's one thing when you're pitching. Pitching is always know who you're pitching to, right? But it's like if you're a mentee, who are your mentors and what do you hope to get, to your point? What do you hope to get out of that conversation?
If you were lucky enough to pitch to the Walton family, you wouldn't say, and if you do this, I can make you rich. That is not something that they'll be motivated by, but they would be motivated by other things. And it's your job to find out, well, what would they be motivated by? How can you improve the life of people in Arkansas? How can you improve economic chances, economic development? What is it you can do? So don't assume that everybody wants the same objective. Put the work in, find out what it is they want. And I come back to the same point, which is make sure you're inviting insights, not opinions. And when you ask people what they think of your business idea, you're inviting opinions.
Yeah. And everybody's got an opinion and they all stink. Or whatever the analogy is.
Let's not go there.
All right, now I'm going to ask you to give yourself advice. This is our landing the plane question, as Jeff dubbed it many years ago. as we wrap up, because I know we're kind of tight on time. If you could go back in time, Ross, to give young Ross advice, however long ago, pick whatever point in time in your life where you foresee this pivotal moment. With all the accumulated knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give young Ross?
Stop chasing Rachel.
We're on a break. We're on a break.
Gen Z viewers won't understand that.
Yeah. What advice would I give to younger Ross? Stay constantly curious. And sometimes the technology will catch up to you. Right. Those are two separate things. Be curious on the technology. Because, where tech is right now is just such an exciting space. I remember, the internet in the late 90s and everything in the 2000s. And I used to think, wow, this is amazing. I think right now from a tech space, which is the area that I'm interested in, it's just the most exciting place. And I think if I'd kind of lost interest in that and, I'd done various other things, and if I'd lost my curiosity in technology, I wouldn't be in the place where I am now. And I just think it is as someone who's been in it for 30 years, it's the most exciting time that it's always been. And I've never always thought that. So if you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, it's kind of the same as it was like 7 years ago. But I would say to young Ross, besides we were on a break with Rachel, I would say keep that curiosity and just be curious about people too, not just the technology. And as much as I love the technology, I love the people more, right? So, yeah.
First thing I would tell young Permjot is, oh my God, stop using so many hair products.
We were on a break.
Stop using so many hair products. The other thing I would say is...
Why?
That's very kind of you, Caleb. Very, very kind of you. I would actually tell myself to relax. Just relax. Enjoy life. I've developed gratitude. It's impossible. And I think Tony Robbins says this. It's impossible, with a very different voice. It's impossible to be depressed and grateful. And I wish I had learned many, many years ago what I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years, which is to be immensely grateful. And gratitude leads to a beautiful life. There's lots of pain. There's lots and lots of tragedies that affect everybody. But try to remember the good things in your life. Try to remember the things to be grateful. Try to remember the silly gifts that turn up every day. The silly gifts.
And more importantly, would young Permjot and young Ross have listened?
No. That's what was it? There's that saying, youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, you can't put a wise head on young shoulders.
Yeah.
Man. But would I have listened? I would have listened to the hair products from Permjot's hair products.
It's interesting you should say that. I remember I got caught up in giving people advice on how to tie their shoelaces. I don't know if you remember this, that a lot of people's shoelaces have come undone, and that's because we've been taught to tie them wrong. So I would always say, let me show you how to tie your shoelaces. I learned how to tie my shoelaces at the age of 47, 48. And what's been incredible is I keep bumping into people all over the world who say, Permjot, I got this great bit of advice from you all those years ago. I said, what is it? Is it the startup? Is it the revenue model? Is it the growth strategy? Is it how to hire great people? No, the shoelaces. The shoelaces has been a game changer. No, I'm not joking about that.
I was waiting for the punchline.
Yeah. No, I was like thinking this would be a joke, and no, it's true. It's sadly true that people around the world have bumped into me and said, thank you for your advice on tying shoelaces.
But I think it just goes to show how simple some of the simplest pieces of advice can have this most profound impact.
Sure. Now I just want to know how to do my shoelaces.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious
Don't
now.
you?
Exactly, yeah. It's like I don't ever untie mine. All right. So if there's a call to action, if there's somewhere our viewers, listeners can learn more about any of the projects you're working on, any call to action to our audience.
Permjotvalia.com. The other thing I'd say on a serious note is find ways to allow people to help you. I know that sounds really, really silly, but too many people get in their own way. It's incredible. We've seen this all the time, all of us. One thing we've all seen is people who won't let themselves be helped. Make yourself the kind of person that you want to help.
It's great advice. And it's advice that I can take myself.
No, Caleb, joking aside, I know we have to, being British, I have to rib you, but no, you've been very, very good at that. I mean, one of the most painful lessons I've learned is growing up from a very low income family. And then as I've moved up, and it'd be a lie to say that I'm anything other than, doing very well at the moment. But one of the tragedies is that when you grow up in a low income family, you have this ethos that I see a lot of new working class New York people have, which is you never ask anyone for help. You never ever ask anyone for help. You don't put yourself in that position. You want to help other people, but you never want to be helped. There's this real pride thing. And what I've learned going up the socio-economic classes, if you want to call it that without sounding too pretentious, rich people and people who are doing well for themselves are unashamedly always asking for help for themselves, for their children. And if there's one piece of advice I want to give kids like myself from low-income families, low-income backgrounds is get rid of this idea that you cannot ask for help. Learn to ask for help, please. Because, and Steve Jobs talked about it beautifully in one of the videos, he never asked somebody for help who didn't say yes to him. So my advice is make yourself available to be helped. Because I can tell you, I didn't get to where I am through, I'm not a self-made man at all.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah, no, there is no such thing as a self-made man. There really isn't. I am not a self-made. I was helped by so many people along the way. I'm grateful to every single one of them.
That's great advice.
I'm grateful to Permjot. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But and Permjot will never say this about him, but I'll say it. Like, I remember one of the first times I met him, he actually said to me, genuinely, like, how can I help you? And I was so taken aback. And I guess also, coming from a British background, I shouldn't be saying nice things about other people, right? But he genuinely said that. And I remember going home and thinking, wow, like, I don't remember the last time someone ever kind of quite, and not just said it, but genuinely sort of like, hey, the cinema, can I take your ticket? How can I help you with anything? It's genuinely like, how can I help you? And you know what? Maybe it takes 10 years, 15 years, whatever. We'll get there. And thanks, Caleb.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Thank
Appreciate
you
taking the time.
Thank you.
Sit down.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Permjot.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share with a friend. Subscribe and review because it matters to us and we want to hear from you. If you're interested in learning how to work with us, check out the information below. See you next week.